Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
They don't really do anything different. I mean, they run their offense, and both of those guys are very capable of running their offense. Obviously, McGuire beat us last year, and Golston has had a heck of a year for them this year. He's second in the league in passing.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, here on a Talking Tuesday from downtown Columbia. A very busy show tonight. If you want to be a part of it, grab a line early because we've got them lined up for you tonight, including Dabo Sweeney from up at Clemson Way, Sean Elliott from over at USC. Chip Weil will be here from Darlington. Good night for that because NASCAR just announced that Matt Kenseth has been suspended for the rest of the season as a result of what happened Sunday in Martinsville. Let me repeat. Kenseth suspended for the rest of the season for taking out Joey Logano in the race on Sunday. That is very big news for a number of different reasons. I can't wait to hear Chip's reaction to that and reaction from all around the NASCAR world. If you have a comment on that, we'll work that in amongst all the football stuff too. But that's very big news that Matt Kenseth has been suspended for the rest of the NASCAR season, which amounts to 3 more races for T-boning Joey Logano. I loved it. Not that I have anything against Joey Logano. I just thought the action and the message behind it was loud and clear. And I am shocked. I truly am shocked that NASCAR took this particular action. We'll talk about that if you want to. But, of course, football is still number one on our mind. Tonight's the night that the top 4 teams in the first poll released by the College Football Playoff Committee, the first ranking, will be known. Now, there'll be more than 4 teams. They'll have their complete ranking, but the top 4, really the top 5, maybe the top 6 will be what everybody's looking at. The 4 who are there and the closest contenders. And, I mean, there's no doubt. There's no doubt in anybody's mind that Clemson will be in the top 4. Some are suggesting maybe even number 1 when the committee comes out with its list. So we'll see. I don't know that they'll be number 1, but I'm confident they'll be in the top 4 securely.
I think they'll be number 3.
Yeah, no doubt they'll be in the top.
By the way, the
4.
person most upset about Matt Kenseth being suspended, Joey Logano, because he was going to T-bone him.
No, he was in the chase. Was he still alive? He wasn't alive anymore in the chase.
Logano was. Logano was in the chase for the championship. I got to go back and check and see if he was in the 8 or not.
And they're
he
putting
was out of contention. He was out of contention
Uh-huh.
in the race on Sunday.
Right.
He was 10 laps down, and Logano was going for the win. No, Logano can't afford. He couldn't afford to retaliate because with the wreck on Sunday, it put him at the end of the chase. He was number 8 in the standings, so he couldn't afford another race.
Just have the chase drivers like an IROC race. They're the only ones on the track.
Suppose he doesn't care. He just wants the revenge.
No, he wants the championship. I can guarantee you that. All right, 800-956-7266 is the number. We'll be right back. All right, very busy day as it always is here on Sports Talk. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. And our email, talkback@sportstalksc.com. And I'm looking at the story here on NASCAR.com. And let's see here. NASCAR suspended Matt Kenseth for the next 2 Sprint Cup Series events. Well, I saw didn't I just see on the crawl on ESPN that it said for the rest of the season?
Mm-hmm.
Did we
How many are left?
There's 3 more races left.
Okay.
Right? Let me think. No.
there's 2 more races.
There's only 2 more races
Yeah.
left. All right, so that is right. My bad. I was thinking there were 2 more in this section of the chase. No, there's 1 more in this section of the chase, and then there's the championship race. NASCAR officials issued no other penalties to the driver of the Gibbs Racing number 20 Toyota. They did place Kenseth on probation for the next 6 months. Wow. The run-in at Martinsville, the latest chapter in escalating tensions between the 2 rivals during the chase, and so it goes. Boy, I disagree with this totally. I mean, this is something NASCAR has encouraged. They have publicly said that they want the drivers to settle things themselves on the track, and this is what you get. I don't know how you can take that kind of position publicly and then not expect the drivers to do something about it and follow through. And I think it's great for the sport, to be honest with you, to give the fans the feeling that when you're watching a race, okay, what is this guy going to do to this guy? Is he going to try and take him out this particular time? We've had that for decades in racing, and oftentimes cooler heads do prevail, and a driver will let another driver go and won't wreck him. But then again, we've seen other times when a driver has intentionally taken out a driver that he feels like he owes for some reason. It's part of the beautiful aspect of NASCAR that over the years has drawn the fans and drawn the TV ratings. I don't know why you want to subdue that now, and by punishing Kenseth as they have, obviously NASCAR is changing its position about that. Of course, with NASCAR, the position changes daily, hourly, by the minute, and
they're still promoting it on their Twitter feed. They have the wreck on a loop saying, wow, this just happened. And it was at Martinsville, which is a short track, right? So it's not like it did this at Talladega going 200 miles an hour. He pushed him into the wall, and I watched it on that loop that, again, is playing official NASCAR Twitter feed that they'll show over and over to try to draw fans in, and then you just kick the guys out for doing it.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I mean, you do have to be careful. Safety is always a concern, but these drivers, they know what they're doing. They're not trying to kill anybody. They're out there trying to pay people back, and it's just like baseball. When a pitcher throws at somebody, they're not trying to kill them, but they could. I mean, it would be assault if you did that on the street.
But they do get warned, and they do get thrown out of games. They get tossed out of the game. They do get suspended occasionally.
So maybe that's what NASCAR is saying. Look,
but you
see,
can
here's
do
the
that.
thing, but
Major League Baseball has never publicly stated, all right, you guys, if you feel like you owe a player from the other team, throw at him. They've never said that. But NASCAR has publicly said, we want our guys to handle their issues on the track. They've said that. That was from the top hierarchy, Helton and above, Francis, they've all said that. And now when a driver actually does it, he gets penalized.
Maybe they mean fighting in the pit stalls after the race.
And maybe so. Maybe that's where they wanted them. Then set up a boxing ring or a cage or something and let them settle it there. But I'll just say this, watching the race, it's been a while since I've seen fan reaction during a race other than whenever Junior takes the lead. Seldom. The fan reaction was classic NASCAR fans. They went wild. Because they don't like Logano, a lot of them. They don't like Logano. He's the bad boy right now. Driver. He's replaced Kyle Busch as the bad boy. And when he was taken out, the fans loved it. And, but anyway, we'll talk with Chip about it later and get his thoughts.
Well, we do have a tweet coming in from Tombstone Josh, who says they have races at Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead. So suspended him for the next 2 races. So he can't hurt Logano's chances.
Texas.
Well, he still could hurt Logano's chances in the last.
So there are 3 more races.
So that would give him a chance to race at Homestead.
Yeah, it would. He would race at Homestead. He could hurt Logano's chances there if Logano's in the 4, because he could wreck him there. But okay, so there are 3 more races. I thought so. For some reason, I was confused on the number. But anyway, what I saw on the crawl. Did you not
Well,
see
the
it
rest
too?
of the season.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, that's what I saw in the
But
call.
apparently he's going to get a chance to race. Maybe Chip can clarify for us.
That crawl on ESPN, they're like 50-50 now in terms of.
Oh, is that right? Ever since they shut down Grantland,
they only have
Yeah.
interns working there.
All right, a couple of quick things from USC. I was over at the press conference today. No major news there. You'll hear from Sean Elliott. Everything is moving forward, getting ready for Tennessee. Says he's not doing that much with the defense. He's leaving that up to the defensive coaches. He'll stick his head in the meeting room and all that, but he's letting them handle it. Offensively, they'll continue to tweak and add more stuff to it, but he felt good about what they did on the offensive side at Texas A&M. Clemson today, K-Mac, you were up there.
Yeah, I think they have a pretty big game this week, sounds like, but only 40 minutes for Dabo, which was shockingly brief, given the magnitude of the game. But everybody's pretty healthy. Dabo said he is not paying attention to the poll that will be released in about an hour, because unless they let Clemson automatically go in, as he said, like a Masters, you get an exemption after you win it every year.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really care, and he's telling the players not to get caught up in it as well. They're focused on Florida State and playing the Seminoles this week.
Mm-hmm. All right. One note out of Seminole land regarding their practice, because they practiced earlier today, and the note is offensive line attrition continues there. Derek Kelly remains out wearing a knee brace with a limp. Cole Minshew was on the stationary bike. Josh Peters was out as well. Mario Pender did not practice. Lorenzo Featherston remained out. Niall Lawrence Stample was not present. Dalvin Cook on the in the running back area. Dalvin Cook did practice today.
Golson practice? You said Golson?
I said to Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Practiced. The hamstring injury apparently is healed, and he was without the ankle brace that he wore yesterday. The offensive line first-teamers remain Rod Johnson, Chad DeMavity, Alec Eberle, Wilson Bell, and Brock Rubel. Quarterback reps are still McGuire and Golson, and then Cosentino. Jock Patrick, the backup at running back, followed by Jonathan Vickers, Kermit Whitfield, and then Cook. But Cook will be the guy if he's healthy.
And you said Golson did practice, but he's behind McGuire.
Well, no. It just says the reps are still McGuire, Golson. Yeah, I guess in terms of the order of the reps, it was McGuire, then Golson.
I mean, I think you want the better athlete out there if you're Florida State. I think a lot of coaches have made the mistake of Louisville did this. They put the statue back there against Clemson instead of the mobile guy. And Clemson historically has had problems with mobile quarterbacks because they're so aggressive getting up the field, and maybe that mobile guy can get past you. Notre Dame had a mobile quarterback. Look at the guys that have had success over the past few seasons against Clemson. Usually quarterbacks that are mobile, from Connor Shaw to many others that are not remembering.
Let's
Connor Shaw.
This past weekend, Brissett had a pretty good game.
Brissett's another one. Jameis Winston, when he played against him, another mobile quarterback. Tyrod Taylor never really had success against him despite being mobile. Louisville's had some success with the mobile quarterback back there. That's what I would do. Jimbo Fisher has never asked me what I thought.
I think in any patterns they run with McGuire, and there's going to be 3 steps. That's it.
Well, that's not going to allow for much down the field.
Yes, it would. Because what you
You're
have
not going to get way
they
down the
have
field.
rockets.
No, what I'm saying is 1, 2, 3, and you throw it to a spot, and the guy has to catch it.
But that's not but about 15 yards downfield.
Oh no, it's more than that.
Okay. Linebacker Terrence Smith was back in practice today at Florida State, and defensive back Marcus Lewis returned to practice as well. One Clemson basketball note: Brad Brownell announced today that Austin Ajukwa is transferring. Here we are just a couple of days before their exhibition game, and the junior guard has decided to move on somewhere else. Back in a moment. All right, a couple of other quick notes. USC women ranked number 2 in the AP preseason poll announced today, trailing only Connecticut, leading Notre Dame, Tennessee, Baylor in 3, 4, 5. USC women consensus number 2 in all the preseason women's basketball polls. College of Charleston basketball team has lost freshman guard Grant Riller to a season-ending knee injury, according to Andrew Miller of the Post-Courier. And this comes on the heels of the Cougars losing their starting point guard last week for the season, Joe Cheeley, who suffered a season-ending foot injury last week. All right, let's hit a couple of phone calls here before we get to Dabo Swinney. David in Georgia, you are first up tonight here on Sports Talk. Good evening. How are you?
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing this evening?
Good. How are you?
Man, I've been listening to y'all about this Matt Kenseth thing, and man, I tell you, honestly, I've been following NASCAR for 30-plus years, and I think what they did was wrong. In my opinion, this is called NASCAR, not easy car. And if you want to sit there and tell drivers to have at it, then you want to penalize Matt Kenseth for what he did, but yet other drivers have done worse things than what he's done in the past, and they haven't done nothing but get a slap on the wrist. I mean, I don't agree with this. Kenseth, in my opinion, might have been wrong, but he just did what any driver would have done. He was in that situation. The drivers have at it, and I don't agree with it. And I don't care what anybody thinks, but it was just wrong by NASCAR to suspend them, and that's the way I feel.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You know, in 2010, NASCAR delivered what's called the unwritten boys have at it code, supposedly allowing drivers to settle differences amongst themselves with minimal intervention from competition officials. But today, Brian France said that there were limits to how far self-policing should go. I mean, this is the problem with NASCAR. I mean, really, it's a joke the way it handles its rules and the way it handles its penalties and its punishments. There's no standardization here. There's no consistency. I mean, this is like having an umpire who in the first inning is calling a tight strike zone, and in the second inning is calling the strike is giving you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all the competitors, all any athlete asks for from officials is consistency and following the rules time in and time out. And with NASCAR, it's always a guess as to what you're going to get in any situation. So anyway, it's a big story in NASCAR. Matt Kenseth out the next 2 races. That would be Texas and Phoenix. So I guess like we've talked about here, I guess he'll be back for Homestead, the last race of the year, which really doesn't make any sense either because, why suspend him 2 games? Why not? I mean, 2 races. Why not the rest of the season if you want to make sure he stays away from Logano when you go to Homestead? Kenseth, by the way, was not in the chase at this stage, and this is the elimination stage. So he was not one of the 8 drivers still alive for the chase. But Logano definitely was, and still has a chance to make it into the Final Four if he can get a win in one of these next 2 races. Okay, we'll be back. Dabo Swinney coming up next here on Sports Talk. right, it's the big game in Death Valley on Saturday. Maybe the last hurdle Clemson needs to clear to get to the playoff on December 31st. It's Florida State. Tigers haven't beaten the Seminoles since 2011. And, of course, Dabo Swinney today, he is not going to give you the perception that he's caught up in this thing. To him, it's just another Saturday. It's just another game on the schedule.
For us, it's the biggest game because it's the next game. But some games always have a little juice to them, and this one has been a game that's been huge for both teams for many years. So I look forward to competing against those guys. Florida State is same old. I mean, it's well coached, got fast dudes all over the place. They know what they're doing. They're defensively they very talented up front. They got some young guys they've recruited very well that have gotten better as the year has gone on. Outstanding in the secondary. They got some guys that can run, got great length. 6'2", 6'3" guys back there. So, again, same old challenge offensively, big, strong offensive line. Dalvin Cook, y'all know how I feel about him. He's an amazing player. He leads this league in all-purpose yards. Leads the league in scoring. Averages 8.2 yards a carry. So those are some freakish numbers. 148 yards a game. They do a great job of involving him in the passing game. They probably screen to the backs as good as anybody that you'll see. Number 9, Dalvin didn't play last week. Number 9, he's a different guy. He's 235+ pounds, big, strong. Outstanding back, excellent receivers like they always have. Really, really good football players. So, 3 and 15 and 8, all those guys, and they got some really talented freshmen that they've mixed in there as well. They always do a good job with their tight ends. I know that Golson didn't play last week. They don't really do anything different. They run their offense, and both of those guys are very capable of running their offense. Obviously, McGuire beat us last year, and Golson has had a heck of a year for them this year. He's second in the league in passing. So, just a really good football team. Their kicker's been there for going on 8 years, I think, 2 terms. He's an amazing talent and has been a great weapon for them. Their punter's back. They got excellent skill in the return game. So, again, not really anything different. This is a team we play every year, not about them. We recruit a lot of the same guys, and our guys know them. So we have great respect for Florida State. This is a team that has been the best in our league the last few years, and they've earned it and been a great representative. They've won the national championship and then played in the first college football playoff last year. If we want to have an opportunity to do that, you've got to win this game. You got to find a way to beat these guys. And it's been it's easier said than done. Haven't been many teams that's been able to do it. We've had our opportunities, and we'll have to find a way to finish if we're going to beat them. That's for sure. But look forward to getting that 3:30 on Saturday.
Just, I guess, football playoff rankings come out tonight. Do you feel like you're in the top 4? Do you care?
I don't care. Not unless they're going to give me an exemption, like a pass. So, like in golf, and you win a tournament, you just don't even have to play the rest of the match. You just show up for the Masters. You get to go to the Masters because you get an exemption. So, unless they're going to come out with an exemption, maybe that would be a great addition. They get the first poll comes out, and if you're in the top 4, you get 2 mulligans or something. I don't know. Unless they do something like that, no, I really don't care. It's just so irrelevant. I've said that many times. Last year, 3 of the 4 teams in the first poll didn't play in the college football playoff. I think the first poll, Ohio State was 16th, maybe, won the national championship. The first poll, Georgia Tech wasn't ranked, finished 9th. The first poll, Notre Dame was top 10, finished unranked. So, like I said, unless they're going to change the rules or something, I know that they got to fill the air time, and it's great for college football, and you got to have something to talk about and create some drama and excitement and sell advertising, but it just has nothing to do with us. We're honored because what we're excited about is we've had a great season. That's what we're excited about. But the only poll we're excited about is December 6th. And I promise you, if we'll have the biggest poll party you've ever seen, we'll open up Death Valley and serve pizza to everybody and just have a poll party on December 6th. That'll be a time to celebrate a poll. But until then, it just doesn't matter because, man, you gotta earn your way there. You got to go win the games. You don't get any passes. So has nothing to do with where we are right now. Our focus is on trying to beat Florida State.
Was that the toughest loss you've ever experienced last year? Just away?
Oh man, they're all tough. I mean, that was one of the toughest. 2010 was we led the entire game. I think the only time we trailed in the game was when the ball went through the uprights from about 82 yards with 2 seconds on the clock on that kick that kid made. I think that's the only time that we trailed. So, I mean, all losses are tough. They're all tough. At Auburn in 2010 in overtime. I mean, I could go on and on. Those things kind of stick out in your mind when you lose games. It's, the wins kind of pile up, and you enjoy all of them. But man, those losses they kind of stick out. But that was definitely a tough locker room. But again, that's life. I mean, that's just life. You have good days, you have bad days, and what we try to talk about, and that's what I think football teaches. It teaches you how to respond in life too. Because, you can mope around and pout about it, or we got plenty of people that do that, or you can do something about it, and you can respond. Life is about how you respond. It's not about what happens. It's about how you respond to what happens. That's really what it's about. And when you have success, how do you respond? When you have failure or disappointments, you make mistakes in life, how do you respond? And we went on to win 9 out of 10. And in fact, we've won 17 out of 18 since that time. So that to me is, I think, how you measure what a person's made of. It's not what happens. It's not the success that they have. It's not the failure that they have. We're so quick to praise and judge, but to me, it's how you respond. And it was a tough time, but move on to the next one. That's why for us, it's always, no matter what happens, the season starts tomorrow. No matter what, win or lose, season starts tomorrow, and let's go stay focused on what we can control.
Dabo, can you talk about the maturation of Tony Elliott as a play caller?
He's done a great job. And it's not. I mean, Tony gets all the credit, but Jeff Scott calls a ton of plays. He called 2 touchdowns the other night. But we get a lot of collaboration. Tony has to kind of manage it from up top, but it's not just, we have a true co-coordinator situation here. Game planning, developing, and calls, how we put the calls together, the way we do things during the course of the game. So both of those guys have been tremendous. Done a great job.
You guys almost signed Dalvin Cook. What can you share about that recruiting process?
Oh, we didn't almost sign him. He just, dated us for a little while, kicked us to the curb. Really nothing else. Great player, great guy. I've always liked Dalvin. Just we didn't get past first base with him. So, I mean, he came here, liked it, decided he wanted to come, and he changed his mind, and he's where he needs to be.
All right, Dabo Swinney from his press conference today up at
Corn in
Clemson.
high school.
What's that?
Didn't pass first base.
Oops.
I just went directly to third. Sometimes I went home.
Wow. Now this
Can't
show
steal
has
first.
taken a turn for the worse.
Anyway, you took us there, K-Mac. You dragged
No, I
us into
didn't.
the sewer.
I set you up, and you
Right
right in.
Yeah. All right, we're back at Sports Talk, presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork, powered by soy. More football coming up, recruiting in just a moment. But last night, big news for South Carolina in that the Gamecocks get their first 2016 basketball commitment. Sadie Keita, 6'10" center from Philadelphia, who attends 22 Feet Academy in Greenville. Gamecocks over some very good teams. Penn State, Temple, Providence, LSU recruited him, UNLV, and others. Coach Ryan Schmidt from 22 Feet Academy joining us now here on Sports Talk to tell us more about the Gamecocks' newest acquisition. Coach, how are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
We're great. We're great. Thank you for joining us. And tell us about Sadie and, the things about him that attracted Frank Martin and the Gamecocks and how he might fit in well with them.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I think the thing that probably a lot of people first notice is his size and length. 6'10", 7'4" wingspan. He's got long legs, and just athletically, he's very, very mobile and agile. Defensively, can get out and guard on the perimeter, and we use him a lot. Even when we press, we put him up at the top of our press. He's pretty versatile as far as guarding positions. 2 through 5. Get out and guard, defend the pick and roll, and then just kind of sprint in the court and transition. He moves really well for his size.
So he will go to college next year as a guy you think already pretty well skilled on the defensive side of things, and in terms of rebounding and shot blocking can be an asset there as well?
Yeah, I think his defense will allow him, obviously will translate and will allow him to get on the floor and see significant minutes as a freshman. I think that's the hardest thing that going from high school to college, I think what freshmen struggle with the most. But I think defensively I'm not going to say he's ready. I don't think he's ever ready to play, defense in the SEC as a true freshman. He's going to have some work to do and coach, but I think he's ahead of the curve as far as entering college, and that's something that stands out.
What do you like in his offensive game?
He's very skilled. I think the biggest thing, that we're working with him here and try to help him before he gets to Coach Martin is just become a little bit more confident on the offensive side of the ball. He's in the past, he went to the AAU program and the other school he's played at before coming here. He's had some really good players, top players in the country, so he's deferred a lot on the offensive end, but he's got a really good skill set. He's got a soft touch, can step out and knock down, threes, and he has a nice touch around the rim. But just getting confidence, on the low post and on the block, being able to score a little bit more. The skill set's there. I just think he's just a little bit more reps and building confidence in him. Something that he'll be able to add and bring to the table.
Now, he's a Philadelphia kid, and the other schools he considered were up in his area: Providence, Temple, Penn State, and USC. So the Gamecocks had to deal with the location factor to win him over. What things did he see at South Carolina and like that led him to decide to stay down south?
I think being down here with us last year for his first year, coming from the Northeast, we really enjoyed it down here. As far as I think it's obviously a little warmer throughout the fall and the winter, and I think just getting over there and seeing the campus and the thing that really sealed the deal for him was just the relationship that he built with the coaching staff. They also built a really good relationship with his brother and his family. And when their family came down to visit, I know they really enjoyed it. And so I think all in all, him coming down here really opened his eyes. I think getting out of the Northeast, because a lot of the schools before him making the move to us, were kind of more local than national.
Yeah. Now, Gamecock fans up your way, of course, can get over to watch you guys play on a pretty regular basis. But those in the Columbia area, you guys are playing in the Bojangles Christmas tournament here in Columbia. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, we are. I believe it's December 10th, a Thursday.
That's great. That's great. They'll get a chance to see him in person and see what he's all about. And he'll be signing a week from tomorrow on the first day of the early signing period?
Yeah, he will be the 11th.
Okay, and he'll make it official then. And academically, at this point, everything looks good for him to qualify and be able to get into school?
Yes, it does.
Very good. All right, and we list him at 6'10", 230. Is that where he is right now?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Still growing, or is that going to be it for him?
I don't know. He said he's got a little bit of pain in his knee. He's hoping it's a growing pain, so we'll see.
That's not tendonitis, huh? That's growing pains.
Yeah, well, he's hoping so at least.
Okay. Hey, Coach, thank you very much. We appreciate it, and good luck to you throughout the season. We'll keep in touch.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, Ryan Schmidt, 22 Feet Academy up in Greenville. They're connected with Shannon Forest School up in Greenville, and their program has some very, very impressive players. A lot of recruiting going on with the program at 22 Feet Academy, and Frank Martin has reached in there and got himself a big guy, Sedi Keita. He's a native of Philadelphia, but his family hails from Africa, but he grew up in Philadelphia. More recruiting coming up in a moment. All right, with the commitment from Keita for USC, now they're focused on, of course, 7th Woods and 6'10" DeJuan Hewell. Now, it was announced today by Hammond School that Woods will announce, of course, next Wednesday. We knew that on signing, first day of the signing period. 9:45, they've closed this to the public. Now, you can read into that whatever you want to. Some immediately are jumping to the conclusion, well, that means he's going to North Carolina because he doesn't want a bunch of people booing him and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe the school just doesn't want a bunch of outsiders coming on campus. The way things are today, who knows? Chavez Goodwin from Hammond will also be signing that day with the College of Charleston, but Woods will be the big story. 9:45 a week from Wednesday. And if possible, of course, we'll put that on Periscope, as I'm sure others will do as well, unless Periscope is jammed by the school and not allowed to be used. I did that from Whale Branch when Niles Pinckney committed to Clemson back in, that was in the summertime, and was lucky to find a wireless signal that was not blocked so that you could use social media from the school. All right, on to some other things. Wide receiver Rick Wells of Jacksonville, Florida, has been committed to Florida since January, but he's still going through recruiting. Camped at USC in June. He's remained in touch with Steve Spurrier Jr. Plans to take an official visit to USC in January. Now, you have to keep in mind with Gamecock recruiting right now, everything is maybe. Because when the new staff comes in, the new head coach comes in, the new recruiting coordinator, whoever it happens to be, the new people, all this can change. The people they're recruiting, the people who are interested in them. So really, talking to recruits now about South Carolina is sort of like wasting your time. but that's what I do best.
Oh, so many jokes.
Anyway, we're still going to do it, even though it's a waste of time for the most part.
Well, I mean, I was talking to somebody about this today, and could this recruiting class get any worse last year? I mean, those guys all bailed last year,
Well,
and there wasn't a coaching change. There almost was a coaching change, but there wasn't. At least now they're out in front of it a little bit, and they don't have as many highly touted guys. They have McElwain and Edwards. Those are the two guys that everybody's going to hope they keep.
Well, McElwain they have to keep. McElwain, everybody else can decommit and go somewhere else, to be honest with you. For them, if they had
I don't think they want to lose Edwards down there at Conway, and I know with the knee injury, it'll probably keep some of the vultures away.
Well, that's true, but you can get yourself another great receiver. But, I mean, this quarterback, McElwain, is supposed to be something special. If they could only have a one-person class, you could have a one-person. Why are you picking on Connor Mitch? Anyway, back to Rick Wells. Looking at Virginia Tech and South Florida for officials, along with Florida. Was supposed to be at USC for the LSU game. Of course, that didn't happen. He's looking at coming back for the Florida game. List is down to USC, Florida, Virginia Tech, South Florida. USC commitment, defensive back J.J. Givens plans an official to Wisconsin. USC and Southern Cal have offered 2017 tight end Logan Rudolph of Northwestern. This guy is blowing up. 2019 receiver Jamario Holly of Northwestern was offered by Kentucky. Top of the hour.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
David Pollock. You know, David Pollock, back in the days when he was in high school, he hated South Carolina. Hated. You know, Clemson recruited him and had a little bit of a chance with him before, of course, he went to Georgia. But I remember making a recruiting call to him one time, and South Carolina was recruiting him. It was kind of early in the process. So when I mentioned South Carolina to him, he practically laughed. He practically laughed when he said, you know, I don't want to, how do you put it? I can't remember. It's been several years. Like, I don't want to play for the Chickens or something like that. He just really expressed disgust for South Carolina back in the day.
He has a motor that just won't stop. That was all you ever heard when he played it.
Well, he was a great player. There's no question about it. He was a great player.
And made one of the all-time great plays there against Corey Jenkins.
Absolutely. He was a great player. I'm not criticizing him. I'm just saying he just had, for whatever reason, from an early time when he was in high school, at least as a player, at least in my conversation with him, brief and few as they were, he did not have much interest in South Carolina. Waiting on the rankings to be announced, and here we go. Here are the bottom 5, 25 through 21. Houston, Toledo, this is from 25 to 21. Houston, Toledo, UCLA, Temple, Northwestern. Houston, Toledo, UCLA, Temple, Northwestern. 20 through 16, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Michigan, and Florida State. Florida State at 16. Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Michigan, Florida State. That's 20, moving up to 16. So we're waiting for the next group to be released.
Probably another commercial break.
No, this is not as bad as the
well, you know,
college selection Sunday when they're putting out the teams.
It's interesting. You look at the American Athletic Conference.
Hang on. Oklahoma's 15. Oklahoma State 14. Memphis is 13. They like Memphis that much more than Houston. Utah is 12, and Stanford is 11. Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Memphis, Utah, Stanford. That is 15 to 11. And so now we wait for 10 through 5, I guess, will be the next page up once they get to it. We probably will not be able to give you the top 4. We'll probably be in a commercial break by the time they get to it.
Oklahoma State defense gave up 53 points last Saturday, but they're number 14 because they scored 70.
Yep. It helps if you got an offense that can score on every possession, sort of like Clemson's. I mean, the last 2 games, Clemson has scored 58 and 56. All right. They didn't need a whole lot of offense against Miami. They needed it all against State. All right. 10 is Florida, Iowa, TCU, and Michigan State. They're only giving us 4 here. Florida 10, Iowa 9, TCU 8, and Michigan State at number 7. That's a little bit down the list for Michigan State. And TCU as well. If you go by the other polls, that's well down the list for them. All right. We'll come back and talk about the 4 in a moment. All right, we're back. Sports Talk presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork, powered by soy. Clemson, number one. Clemson, number one in the college football playoff rankings. LSU, number two. Ohio State, number three, and Alabama, number four. Number 5 was Notre Dame, and number 6 was Baylor. So right now, according to the pairings, as we have it, if the playoff were tomorrow, Clemson and Alabama.
Dabo would play against his alma mater.
And LSU, Ohio State. That'd be pretty awesome. First two out, or as I like to call it, first two screwed, were Notre Dame and Baylor. Baylor's got to feel like, what do we have to do to make the playoff? So that's where it stands right now. 1, Clemson. 2, LSU. 3, Ohio State. And 4, Alabama. Wow. What do you think about that? If you have a comment on the rankings, 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Tiger fans, it doesn't matter what the AP has been saying. It doesn't matter what the coaches have been saying. It doesn't matter what anybody has been saying. The 12 people that count have spoken, and as of today, Clemson is the number one team in the country.
If I'm Dabo Swinney right now, you know what I'd say? I'm being set up. Because I think the last thing he wanted was to be there at number one at this time of year.
Well, he said he didn't care. Mm-hmm. He said at his press conference today he didn't care.
No, I think he cares. Now the target's on his back.
Well, I mean, look, you look at those 4 teams that are there. Each of them has had its struggle in some game or two. You can't say that Clemson has blown out everybody. They struggled against Louisville, had a little bit of a struggle against Boston College. Alabama's got a loss
against Ole Miss.
Ohio State has had its struggles, and they're without their one of their top quarterbacks.
Every team's
right
going
now.
to struggle. Mm-hmm. Some.
Has LSU? I'm trying to remember. LSU and Mississippi State was a pretty tight game.
Here's the question about LSU. LSU has improved slowly, but at the beginning of the year, they couldn't throw the forward pass at all. It was Fournette here, left, right, up the middle, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But now they've gotten their sea legs, and they're throwing the football a little bit more, and they've got that salty defense. And so LSU is sitting right there.
So if tomorrow were December 31st, which is the day of the semifinals, Clemson, Alabama, who would you take? Who do you think would win? As of today, the way things are today, who would you take? I mean, the odds makers don't have to go by what the rankings are. They go by what they think and what they feel. A lot of folks would lean towards Alabama because it's Alabama, and it's always hard to pick against them. But does Alabama have the speed? Do they have the overall speed to match up with Clemson?
Their front seven will negate a lot of speed because they get tremendous push into your backfield, no matter who. See, they've got those tree trunks that not only get pushed, but they're looking over the guy's shoulder. They're pushing to see which way you're going. So, yeah, I don't think they have the team speed that Clemson has, but I think their front seven is just salty.
LSU's had a couple of close calls. Their win at Mississippi State was only by 2 points. They only beat Syracuse by 10. They only beat they beat Florida by 7 at home. So that's a good win over a good team. So you can't say a 7-point win there is nothing to sneeze at against a Florida team. So they had a couple of close ones. And, winning at Mississippi State by 2, you shouldn't shortchange them on that.
No.
I would say probably the one game that you would downgrade them on in terms of the final result would be going up to Syracuse and winning by just 10.
Okay, now Dabo gets the chance to tell the national television audience why he doesn't care, because he will be appearing on this show just after the next break. So he'll tell us he doesn't care that they're sitting there at number 1.
Yeah, that's I'm sure he will. I mean, I'm sure he'll try to maintain
That's
the same
contractually
position.
obligated, I'm sure, that he has to appear.
Oh, I would think
because today he couldn't have cared. I mean, I know he cares, but he He pointed out that last year, the first poll, most of those teams weren't there at the end. Ohio State was 16.
That's why I'm thinking if I'm Dabo, I'm being set up. But here's the deal.
But wait a minute, before you say that, wouldn't you rather, however,
I want to
be there now and have a chance to, and especially at
I
number
want to
one,
be 4.
they would have to.
They control their own destiny.
Right.
Yeah.
They would have to really mess up here down the stretch not to stay in the 4. Now, a loss would drop them out.
Yes.
But if they win, they don't have to worry about playing their way into it. I think if they win, they're in. Nobody's going to drop.
Oh, they're
them out
not
of the
going to
top
drop 4
four.
spots.
No.
Yeah.
Here's the important thing to remember in this all the equation, and I think did it deliberately because they wanted the last look. You know, just like in a polls off, the guy sneaks on the stage and give you the last poll so you vote for him. The Big 12, I think, deliberately backloaded their schedule. If you notice, all their big games are at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So there's where Baylor's chance is. They say, okay, fine, y'all say we didn't play anybody. Then they're going to play all the big
But who are they
right
going to
at the
jump?
end.
Because look at this. If Clemson wins out, they're not going anywhere. LSU still has to play Alabama. That's right. LSU, Alabama.
Yeah.
So one of those is going to drop. So that is one opportunity for one of those teams outside the 4 to get in. And
Ohio State still has, don't they have
Michigan.
Michigan and Michigan State? Or just
they have Michigan, of course. I know.
Right.
I don't think they do.
they play Michigan State this
I'll
year?
have to check their schedule. I don't have it in front of me. Big Ten championship could be
a trap.
Could be a possibility for them to face Michigan State. Let's see. I'm pulling up their schedule right now. They do play Michigan State, November 21st. Ohio State versus Michigan State, November 21st, and Michigan, November 28th. So
there you go.
Ohio State's got Minnesota this week at home. They go to Illinois, so they should have no trouble. But then their close is tough. Michigan State, Michigan, and then the Big Ten championship. So that will be, they've got a tough road ahead. Clemson probably has, they probably have the easiest slate left when you think about it. Florida State, of course, will be very tough, but it is at home, and I don't think, obviously, people aren't being blown away by Florida State right now. Then they go to Syracuse, which shouldn't be a problem if they play. Then they get Wake Forest, and then they get South Carolina. So, I think of the 4 right now, you'd have to definitely say Clemson has the easiest road to the finish line. And then there's the ACC Championship where they will play
North Carolina.
Probably North Carolina, or Duke. Duke could still get in there. Duke plays North Carolina this weekend.
Right.
Duke beats North Carolina. They're back in it. Pittsburgh is not totally out of it either. Pittsburgh is still in the hunt, too. They only have 1 league loss. So,
yeah.
But that won't be – whoever it is that faces Clemson in Charlotte, assuming the Tigers are there, they're not going to put up – it shouldn't be much of a game for Clemson. I wouldn't think. The Coastal Division is very, very poor. Unless North Carolina, which has gone unbeaten since losing to South Carolina, and they have improved as they've gone through the season, and their defense has certainly gotten better. Give Gene Chizik credit. We talked about the new defensive coordinators that came in to various schools. Give him credit for actually going in and improving that North Carolina defense. North Carolina has only allowed in ACC play this year in 4 games. They've only allowed 77 points.
And give Williams credit for bouncing back for throwing 2 end zone interceptions against South Carolina. I don't think he's turned the ball over that much since that first ball game.
Yeah. So, but again, you don't see anybody from the Coastal Division that is going to scare Clemson. So, Clemson, LSU, Ohio State, Alabama. That's your favorite 4 right now. And the first 2 screwed, Notre Dame and Baylor. They'll be waiting in the wings if they can continue to win games.
Because they lost to the number 1 team. They lost to Clemson.
I just like to use that phrase as the 2 guys.
Now, Baylor, you could use
who will feel like they're getting screwed. Well, Baylor, of course, they probably dropped Baylor because they're having to play a freshman quarterback now, with their regular guy out. All right, we'll be right back. I think we're going to connect with Mick Mixon for a couple of minutes, talk about the Panthers win last night. All right, once again, Clemson, number 1 in the playoff poll, followed by LSU, Ohio State, and Alabama. Those are your 4 right now. Insects and diseases can be moved hundreds of miles in firewood and threaten our forests. Favorite campsites, neighborhoods, and state and national parks help protect the trees you love by purchasing firewood at or near where you burn it. For more information, visit don'tmovefirewood.org. All right, quickly we go to the phone. Sean Elliott coming up here in just a couple of minutes. It's Daryl in Heath Springs with us next here on Sports Talk. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How you doing tonight?
Good.
Thanks for taking my call. Just a quick question. We was watching the rankings, and congratulations to Clemson for being at number 1. Could you explain to me they're sitting there talking about the Baylor schedule being so weak and everything? How do they have Clemson with the number 1 strength of schedule? Have you watched any of the show? Or, I mean, of course, you're doing your own show, but
Right.
does that explain that one to me?
Yeah,
we're having trouble with that one.
Now they're probably relying. I don't know what they're relying on. I saw where ESPN creates all these different stats and things of that nature, power indexes and ratings, and they had Clemson's strength of schedule number 1, and I had a hard time understanding that as well. They played Notre Dame. That helps their schedule. They will play Florida State. That helps their schedule. There's not much else on there that really helps their schedule from a strength of schedule standpoint. So I'm not real sure where that comes from. You talk about Baylor. Well, they've played SMU. They've played Lamar. They've played Rice. They've played Kansas. They've played Iowa State. 5 dog teams. They've played Texas Tech, which has a losing record, I believe, and they've played West Virginia, which has been a big disappointment. They have Kansas State coming up next, and they're having a losing season. They finished with Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and TCU, and Texas. So they got 4, well, 3 really tough to close. And then Texas, of course, Texas lost at Iowa State, got shut out for the first time ever. They lost in Ames, Iowa this past weekend. So but kind of a tough close for Baylor. I'm with you. I'm a little bit lost on how you can configure a strength of schedule rating that has Clemson number 1. I'm a little bit lost on that too.
All right. Well, I thought it was a good question, and one other quick question. This is just off base of what I just called about. We're talking about the recruits that didn't pan out for the Gamecocks. Well, Donnell Stanley, whatever happened to him?
Playing backup guard.
Okay.
Playing backup guard.
High recruit.
Yeah. For them moving forward, probably stepping in and being a starting guard. Thank you very much. Now, you can go to different websites and different organizations to find different numbers. Like I just typed in strength of schedule college football for this particular website that popped up team rankings, and they have Clemson at number 12 with their formula for strength of schedule, Tennessee number 1.
Tennessee Vol Week, big week.
Side by side.
All right, Dabo is being interviewed on ESPN in relation to being number one in the committee's rankings right now. We'll bring that to you in just a little bit. We can't touch it until he's done, so we'll bring that to you in just a little bit. In the meantime, Sean Elliott, if he becomes the head coach at South Carolina, would they like to be in Dabo's seat? That is talking about being ranked number one. Right now, though, all on his mind is Tennessee and trying to get another SEC win and maybe get the Gamecocks bowl eligible. Josh Kendall had a story today saying that it's possible the Gamecocks could go to a bowl with 5 wins at 5-7 because there's 80 teams needed for the bowl spots and not enough who will have 500 records or winning records to fill those slots, possibly, which means some 5-7s will have to go bowling. USC could be one of those. Anyway, Sean Elliott from his presser today.
Tennessee Vol Week, big week, good football team. A lot of tough losses for them. This team could be, they're a much improved team. I would say that they got a great head coach in Butch Jones, probably the best combination. If you look at them offensively, quarterback, running back situation in the conference. I mean, I think they're very, 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 very good. Got a lot of tools. And a couple here and there, and it's probably a much different season for the Tennessee Volunteers. But we've got our work cut out for us. We've got to continue to improve as a football team like we have in the past few weeks. Keep adding some wrinkles, keep doing some things differently, and trying to move forward and get an SEC win. That's our goal. And that's what we're trying to improve on this week and go out and beat Tennessee over there. Any questions?
Shawna, you mentioned Sunday that you were looking to get Lorenzo more involved in the offense. Could he be a Pharaoh Cooper type where you kind of move him around all over the field?
Well, you saw last Saturday he was a little bit over the field. He's out there wide out, motion back in with a little reverse pass. So, yeah, we can do a lot with him. I mean, he's one of those players that you can line up anywhere and have an instant chance to make a big play with. So, yeah, we're doing some of that as well.
Coach, what has it meant just to have Brandon back, not only in terms of his ability to run the ball, but also just as a personality and a leader out on the field?
Well, I think having him first and foremost as a player, knowing that he's a workhorse, you can hand the ball off to him 17, 20, 25 times, and he only gets better as the game goes on. And with that being the sense, your team rallies around that. They continue to grow, gain confidence. And you see kind of a different offense. I don't know if I've ever been a fan of a huge rotation of backs. When I say, there's 2 carries here, 2 carries there, another 2 carries for a different guy. I don't know if you ever get in the rhythm like that as a running back, but I'm pleased that he's back and giving us the stability. And we have other backs can do that as well, and David Williams. But I think a team likes seeing Brandon out there, the physicality. He ran with toughness this past Saturday. And as long as he continues to do that, the team's going to be rallying around him and following that on-the-field leadership.
The last 3 meetings with Tennessee have come down to a field goal or less, and the last 2 have come down to the last play. What do you think makes this series so close over the last few years?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I mean, we play each other pretty well against one another. I guess matching up is something that is fairly evenly, or has been the last few years. I don't know how it'll play out this year, but it's a good competitive game. I think both teams are certainly want to win. I mean, they certainly want to win. So for it to come down to the end, you can tell the teams are going to fight, and that's what we've done the last few years. We've got to go and continue to do it and see if the ball bounces our way at the end of this.
All right, some of Sean Elliott from earlier today, all of Sean and all of Dabo from today on our website, Sports. Bigger news with the news that Clemson is ranked number 1 by the College Football Playoff Committee, ranked number 1 at this particular time. Just a little while ago, Dabo Swinney was interviewed by the folks from ESPN, part of their coverage of the announcement of the ranking. Let's listen into what Dabo had to say.
Well, I just think that it's just a sign that we've had a great season to this point. I certainly think that we should be in the conversation regardless of what the ranking is. I don't think anybody should be having a party over what the poll is, and I don't think anybody should be disappointed. I mean, if you look back at last year, Ohio State was, I think, 15th or 16th on the first poll and won the national championship. Notre Dame was top 10, finished unranked. Georgia Tech was not ranked and finished number 9. So there's a lot of ball to be played. I mean, these polls, and I know y'all got to sell advertising and all that stuff. You got to have something. You got to have something on TV. The only reason I agreed to come on, Reese, is because you're just a good guy from Alabama, and that's it. All I would say is I'm proud of our team because we're 8-0, and that's all good. But this poll right here is just simply based on potential. Potentially, we've got a chance to be in there. But for the 6th, when we finish our season, it'll be based on performance. And that's what it's all about. And this is a game of performance, not potential. That's why when the preseason polls and the preseason All-American teams and all that stuff come out, I just rip them up in front of our team every year because it's about playing and earning it on the field. You got to play the games. I think we're a very good team. I've voted us, really, really high myself the last couple of weeks. I believe in our team, but we got a long way to go. Our focus is 100% on trying to find a way to beat an outstanding Florida State team, a team that we've had a very difficult time with the last few years.
And that is a defining performance, and it has been recently in the ACC, that showdown with the Seminoles coming up on Saturday afternoon. How would you describe where your team is from a mindset standpoint going into this Florida State game as opposed to maybe the last couple of years?
I mean, we've always been pumped. Our guys like to play regardless of who we play. We focus on how we play, and so we don't get up or down based on an opponent. Every week is a huge game for us, and I think that mentality has allowed us to have great consistency. But the Clemson-Florida State game has always, got a little special flavor to it because it's these guys know each other. And then, for the past several years, this game has decided who's won our division and gone on to win the league. So everybody looks forward to it, but we don't look ahead to it. We just stay dialed in on what we're trying to do. And we look up, and now it's time to play Florida State. And as usual, there's always a lot on the line, but we embrace that. They're an outstanding team. We've had our opportunities against them. We had a chance last year and couldn't finish. But Florida State has represented this league well. They won the national championship a couple years ago and then played in the college football playoff last year. And for us, if we want to have our opportunity to do that, we got to earn it. I don't think because we're in this first poll that they're just going to give us a bye to the playoff. We got to go play the games, and it's going to be a tough task this Saturday. But we're glad to be at home, and our guys will be ready to play.
How would you describe the challenge that's in front of your defense and trying to stop Cook, assuming that he's healthy and ready to go?
Well, I'm going to see if we can play with 12. We'll see. We'll talk to the rest before the game and see if we can work that out. Because
in the ACC, they might let you.
Oh, man, no comment. Come on, man.
I'm kidding.
Well, I tell you, Dalvin Cook, it's like they're playing with 12. He's a great, great football player, leads our league in all-purpose yards. He's 140-something yards a game. He's 8.2 a carry. So they got all kind of weapons on the outside. Defensively, they're long and lean and a bunch of guys that can run. I think they're only giving up 16 points a game. So it's just the same old with Florida State. You're gonna have to play a heck of a game to beat those guys.
All right, Dabo Swinney, just a few minutes ago, interviewed by the ESPN college football crew after the Tigers have the targets. Well, I guess all 4 have targets on their back, but Clemson has the biggest target. When you're number 1, you carry the biggest target. So now this officially counts as the college football ranking. Is this just the first time Clemson has been number 1 since '81? Is that right?
I believe it is.
Anytime in between, Tigers have touched number one?
I can't.
Can you remember?
No.
I can't remember another time.
Be right back. Well, there are two big stories of the night around here. Clemson, number one, and Matt Kenseth, number one enemy of NASCAR. After getting a 2-race suspension and 6 months probation for next year after what happened last year at Martinsville. Chip Weil, president of Darlington, joining us. I don't know, Chip. I can't agree. I cannot agree with this decision. And what do you say?
Well, I mean, I see both sides. You know, I think NASCAR had to put their foot down. The incident in Kansas a couple of weeks ago between Joey Logano and Matt Kenseth was a racing incident. They were racing hard for the win with 2 laps to go. Sunday in Martinsville, the 20 of Matt Kenseth was multiple laps down, came back on the racetrack with the sole intent of wrecking Joey Logano, the 22 car, who was leading the race and had the most dominant car of anybody out there. So I think NASCAR had to make a very pointed, firm decision and set an example of Matt Kenseth. But they had a tough go of it for sure. I don't know if I want to be in their shoes or not.
Don't you think? You can't think for Matt, neither can I, of course. But even if he hadn't been 10 laps down, if he had just been running in the pack, but maybe on the lead lap or maybe a lap down, because he's out of contention for the championship and having this big old chip on the shoulder for Logano from a couple of weeks ago, don't you think he still would have tried to take him out? I mean,
I think it would have been different, Phil. I think it would have been different, Phil, if he would have done it while they were racing. The car, the sanctioning body would have viewed it a little bit differently as an on-track incident. The fact that he came back on the racetrack, slowed down, waited for the 22 to pass him, and then drove into the door and got him into the wall. That's a completely different animal, a completely different story. And I've read a lot preparing for our conversation tonight. You know, there's a driver code, so to speak. Drivers all have an unwritten code on how they act and how they react to each other. And certainly drivers are never going to agree on how a situation should end, but they do have something that they like, a code of conduct that they all follow, which is, hey, you have an incident on the racetrack, you need to call, meet, or something to resolve it. And I don't think Joey did that, and I think Matt took offense to it and then took matters into his own hands.
Okay, all well and good, but you know, too, that not too long ago, NASCAR, and this came from the top brass, told the drivers, hey, you guys take care of your issues on the track. Let the boys be boys, so to speak. That's number one. And number two, you have to admit, the fans loved it. It's been great for the sport this week because people are talking about it. People were looking forward to the next go-around between these two. Why not just let them play it out like NASCAR had suggested a couple of years ago?
Although I think there's a difference between boys have at it, fix yourself on the racetrack and work it out on the racetrack and amongst yourselves, and blatantly driving somebody over 100 miles an hour into a concrete wall. There's a difference there, and I think that line was crossed. And I think if you go back a couple of years, they did say, NASCAR said, hey, there is a line that we will not allow the drivers to cross. And I think in their judgment thought that Matt Kenseth did cross that line on Sunday afternoon in Martinsville, and they had to take swift action. I think it also, with this new format, Phil, with as much that's on the line, you know, NASCAR has to. They were in a tough spot, and like it or not, I feel like they had to make a decision. I don't know if I agree with it or not. That's really irrelevant. I'm just here to kind of give you what the scenario is. But I think the other thing that we're losing sight of is the biggest storyline of the day, in my opinion, wasn't the Matt Kenseth Joey Logano diff. It was Jeff Gordon and him going ahead and locking himself in to the championship round in his final race of his career. That is an incredible story, and certainly one that we'll be looking forward to see play out in a couple of weeks.
I agree. I think that's a great story. If you can't have Dale Jr. in there running, then from a fan standpoint, you couldn't have anybody better than Jeff Gordon in contention on that last Sunday to win the championship. I just hate that they've eliminated the other piece of the drama that would build over the next couple of weeks. Now, can you tell me quickly why a 2-race suspension? Why not a 3? Why are they going to let him come back and race at Homestead where he could do the same thing?
You know, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if they wanted to get to that final round and get through this next couple of weeks to see, you know, obviously at Homestead, if he's back and Joey is part of the conversation, will he do it again? That's the big question mark. And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
So I don't know why 2 races, but that's what they levied, and that's what they'll have to serve.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Chip Wild, president of Darlington. He's in a kind of a tough spot because, I mean, he works for a company. NASCAR basically owns Darlington, and they're the ones making the decision here. So he kind of has to be a little careful, too. I get that. All right, we'll be back in a moment. All right, we'll talk a little bit more about Clemson and strength of schedule in a moment. However, it is time for the high school football report brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could save a whole lot of money even if you've received a quote before. Rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau insurance agent. And for our report tonight, I want to give you the latest rankings from the high school sports report as we head into the last Friday night of the regular season for 3A, 2A, and 1A. The 4A teams have two more regular season games to go before they get to their playoffs. The rankings in 4A, Fort Dorchester, number 1, followed by Northwestern, Ashley Ridge, Spartanburg, Burns, Lexington, Dutch Fork, Sumter, Westside, and York. It's Greer, number 1, followed by Hartsville, Chapin, Seneca, South Point, Hilton Head, Hanahan, Myrtle Beach, Belton, Honeypath, and Airport. In 2A, it's Dillon, number 1, followed by Fairfield Central, Woodruff, Strom Thurmond, Abbeville, Timberland, Newberry, Chesterfield, Pendleton, and Andrews. And in Class 1A, it's Bamberg Earhart, number 1, followed by Calhoun County, Southside Christian, McBee, C.E. Murray, Allendale, Fairfax, Christchurch, Lamar, Lakeview, and Cross. And pounding on the door of the top 10 at number 11, the mighty Latta Vikings.
Be careful, you might bust
kick
something.
that door down to the top. Scare you, K-Mac? K-Mac jumped.
I just jumped.
I was looking for some internal bleeding there.
I haven't jumped that high since Dabo was talking today when he gets animated.
Yeah. Real quick about strength of schedule. I don't see anything as Clemson strength of schedule rated number 1, so I'm not sure what the caller heard. The Jeff Sagarin rankings, which are always, they've been widely used and pretty accurate. He's got Clemson strength of schedule right now at number 28, but Clemson ranked number 2 overall behind Alabama, but the strength of schedule at number 28. number 1 in strength of schedule by him would be Texas. But they're way down at number 58 overall. All right, a short run in Charlotte. You got about a minute, my friend. Fire away.
Hello, how y'all doing? I'm on Sugar Creek. I'm loving your show. I even came out and locked up in my truck because I didn't want to be disturbed when I'm looking to Sports Talk when they give an announcement like Clemson ranked number 1 in the nation.
Number 1.
And I'm loving it. In your ladder. And for your ladder, they don't run into the Red Raiders. They don't want to run into the Red Raiders of Bambara.
We used to be the Red Raiders, you know. We were the original Red Raiders.
But anyhow, I'm loving your show, and I locked up. And Clemson earned it because they beating Georgia, they beating LSU where Pontic Greens comes to die. You hear me?
Okay. Thank you, Short Run.
I was stolen from LSU.
Roll your windows down and get a little more oxygen in there too, Short Run. That might help you. All right. There you go, folks. Clemson number 1 heading into this weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. Final thoughts from anybody?
It's hard to top that. I mean, it's anticlimactic to say anything after the number 1 ranked team.
All right, K-Mac, good luck to your
Two
Lakers
number 1
tonight.
ranked teams this week.
We'll see you tomorrow.